Hello and welcome to the after show for Game of Thrones Riverlands episode 5. So stuff happened there. There was a double button to end on.
As if finding out about our mother wasn't a big thing to end on. We had to end on even more big things.
Oh, hush you, with knowing the secret of her being still alive?
Yeah, you knew!
This
I did.
mother.
I did know.
Yeah. I'm glad I didn't go to you for the key. Because I almost
Yeah.
I almost went to you for the key.
And I would have lied about it for sure.
I'm sure you would have. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. There was a moment where I was like, okay, he's asleep. I could just search for it.
I was worried. I was like, oh God. I was like thinking in my head, like, what am I going to come up with if she comes and asks about the key?
Yeah.
I'm like, I always come up with a lie in my head. Like,
but I have to say, like from a meta level, like Dot, it's really interesting that Calith doesn't know or either lied well enough to cover it.
Oh, I mean, we're in the after show, so this is like Patreon exclusive stuff. I'm game to open the lid a little bit. I had no idea.
That's what I thought. Like I thought it was a big. So I find it really interesting. Like, yeah, that he didn't know.
It makes sense. She's not my mother, and I'm sure my father is aware that I'm at the very least, since I'm weak physically, I kind of compensate otherwise. So
Yeah.
maybe he wants to keep it out of my, like, that knowledge out of my hands.
Out of your purview, yeah.
yeah.
Silver lining, there's one less person that knows that Jenny is alive.
It's true.
Hoster, you mean?
Hoster.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
I should have volunteered to go. I almost volunteered to go with you guys.
With a little bit.
Yeah, wait till that investigation comes about. Who unlocked him? Who let literally the bandit leader out?
Yeah, that's actually true. His manacle was just
It wasn't
unlocked.
broken. It was just unlocked.
Yeah, that's a shame.
So it's just me, Hoster, and John.
Caliph.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And Cal. Oh, and Cal. Oh
No,
God.
Cal ain't there.
Cal isn't there.
Cal isn't there.
Sending a
Okay.
bastard is always a little bit of an affront. It's always a dangerous
Okay.
situation.
So it's just the three of us.
Yep.
It doesn't mean he couldn't have been unlocked before you left the castle.
Or that he stole the key off you at any time during
Or he
an
stole the
entire
key.
journey.
True. There's definitely a lot to investigate, but oh God. Oh God.
You know what it
Yeah.
makes me wonder? And this is completely speculation. I wonder if Mathis did the Mathis thing and dealt with things privately, went down to the dungeon and was like, all right, big guy, I'm going to give you a dagger. You're going to get a
Ooh.
chance.
Yep.
Your chance is to take out John Johnson.
That would be dastardly.
And the Ironborn was like, you got it, bud. With my one hand, he's like, now I can take out
We're
two
in the after
princes.
shows. I can
I
play
mean,
a little
we
bit.
we got that piece of information where Caliph clearly doesn't feel like
Mm-hmm.
he's in a place to take over for the family. And since we are in the after show and spoilers are spoilers, you know, Luvina totally agrees. And she's been in a similar situation before in her life.
Yeah, it was my plan.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah,
I
whole
thought
thing.
it was.
Yeah.
The whole show I've been playing.
You're telling. Oh my God.
I'm after
Worst thing about
show.
it.
This is just for
That's-
Patreons only.
that's
And
true.
You guys aren't gonna metagame, and you guys are gonna
That's true.
spoil it.
Oh, no,
This is
absolutely
top
not.
secret, everyone. Don't tell anyone else. Okay, there we go.
Nope.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
okay.
this
I
is-
thought it was really nice. Like it was set up well, Mathis,
Thank
and your
you.
execution flawless.
Did you target? What was your target, Hoster, or was it John?
Hoster.
Hoster.
Both,
Really?
technically. We'll see what happens.
Oh my
But-
God.
Hoster primarily.
So it was Ithleen, Hoster, John, and whom?
Ithleen's not a target.
Yeah, but
It was just
this
the
is
three
an
of us.
Ironborn. This is an
Just
Ironborn.
Yeah,
Us and the Ironborn.
I'm aware.
If-
So is it three of them in the Ironborn?
Yep,
Sure,
that's it.
but if Hoster dies
hmm
and if John dies,
The only one alive is Ithleen.
Ithleen, that's correct.
And she
And-
saw a bandit leader break free and kill her brother and her brother's friend lover.
It's not even going to matter. At that point, he could just as easily be like, all right, you're next, Blet.
I'm gonna kill
And then he walks
you.
away.
Stab.
That's fair. That's a fair point. Hopefully what I offered him is enough to keep his faith steady.
You know, Mathis trickier than that. He ain't just gonna yeah.
Declan already has his. He's already worried up to this point. He even told Jorah, he's charismatic, but you got to watch him.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And when it comes back that Hoster and John is dead, he's
That'll
going to
be
look to you immediately.
I'll be crying my eyes out.
Bear in mind, I will make a roll for him next episode to figure out how much damage he did. Obviously, you know, Hoster was mostly unarmored at the time, and it was a surprise attack, so it's going to be a case of, like, he's not going to burn Destiny Point or anything like that, and if he takes a lot of wounds, he's going to be severely out, and he's just going to start bleeding out. But I will roll to determine, like, how badly injured he is. And also, there is John!
Yep, there is John. He's lost some.
Oh, the lover. He's gonna be so sad.
That'll be a bummer.
Such a bummer.
If you want, like, my inner workings, if basically the tipping point for Caliph was Declan knowing. If Declan could figure out that was happening, that was like some backroom, like, lovers happening that would be used as that will be used as blackmail in the future. If the free folk can figure it out by looking at him, anybody with half an eye who lingers on their gaze for a little longer is going to fucking figure it out. Especially if people who know that there were a glove in there. There's too much that can come back to bite.
I actually think Lavina took the glove. I think I remember that from the tournament episode. Lavina kept the glove.
Yeah.
But I don't know how many people saw it before you and I got to that glove.
Right. Yeah. It's true. It's interesting. Lavina and Caliph are very similar. They do what's necessary for their house.
Right. It's nothing. And like for Caliph, it's not personal against Hoster. If he was a good man, like he's a good man, which is great. But if he was a good leader, and B, he wasn't so easily blackmailed so quickly, and he's still young. There's years for people to figure out his indiscretions. That would be pushing over House Rook and saying goodbye. Like that's plenty of excuses for stronger people to swoop in and say, we're gonna vassalize you. We're just gonna absorb you. Like we can't play these games. It's gonna look bad for us. It sucks. He doesn't want to do it, which is why he went through extreme lengths to do it the way it went down, and it cost me a pretty penny.
I bet it did.
And some other things. So,
I bet it did.
But it makes sense in my mind. It makes sense for Caliph to go down this route only after the suggestion to marrying marrying off Hoster failed. Once that peaceful solution fell out of play, there's very little he could do.
I didn't quite get that. I didn't get that. I thought it was still on the table.
Lavina would have to be legitimized.
I'd have to be legitimized for it to count for the North. We technically, if they were cool with it, they could marry me as a bastard. It wouldn't matter in Dorne.
Right. If Hoster was going to Dorne, it would be fine.
It wouldn't matter in Dorne a little bit, but it's like they would still like happily have you at a dinner table. They'd still present you as part of the family, but necessarily.
But all the benefits of being legitimized are not there.
Yeah.
And part of Lavina's story, which we haven't learned yet, is that she turned down legitimization.
Right. You mentioned
they offered her head of house to take the heir, to be heir of her family.
But even so, like even if you were, if the end result was Hoster going to Dorne, even if he doesn't get all the rights and whatnot, that still would be okay because he'd be out of the way and nobody would know and nobody in Dorne would give a shit and we could play the game. But because Lavina has to come here and then we have to play the whole legitimacy of a bastard game and then people would look on that weird if that even goes through. And then Tommen would have to be okay with it beyond that. There's so many hoops that there's too much time given in Callous' mind for something to go wrong.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Or for the
like, let's take care of this.
Like he wants to get a little bit weird because you're marrying off the heir of the house.
Right. To a legitimized bastard of Dorne.
The heir of Dorne. If she gets legitimized in
Dorne,
she
becomes the heir.
So effectively, House Rook then ends up going to Dorne.
It's a mess. It's a big old mess. So it basically boiled down to explore all peaceful options. If none of them work sufficiently enough, then take the next step and do it fast. And do it while you can pawn it off on a bandit that also took the life of the heir to the Rhine.
Yeah. Make it all look seamless.
Look seamless, and ideally, if everything goes through, maybe it'll even lower tensions.
Fix it with the rhymers to an extent.
Yeah,
be like, well,
exactly. That was the other thing I was talking to E about. I was like, here's my idea. If this goes through, maybe the Rhiners will be like, you lost somebody too. Like, we're even there. At least lower the tensions for war, and then give us time to figure out marriage and politics. It's messy. I don't want to murder my brother. But fuck, man, if it's that or House Rook has the potential of collapsing 17 different ways, I had to do something. That's why Caliph was super quiet this episode, too. He was
amusingly as well, Itzleen is currently closer to the Rhymer camp than she is anywhere near to getting back.
She
to,
could
like,
run to them
Roost.
and ask for help, and immediately there you go.
Yeah.
There's some sympathy.
And if she takes like
Right.
the fresh body of her brother there as like a no shit, like things are going down, help.
Right.
Straight up, they're gonna be like, oh, yep, okay, this seems legit, fair. Yep, okay, we've suffered at the same person.
Declan can't know.
I would never tell Declan.
That's going to be the secret, because that was part of the leading reason that
Yeah.
Declan left Essos, is when his understanding and the concept of loyalty was questioned. He left Essos because a vision told him that things were going to go awry, and then bad shit happened, and he was like, "Okay, that's it. That's the telling tale." And I just had the vision, and now Hoster's dying. Declan would be like, "Sorry, Tommen, it's been cool."
Didn't you have a vision of somebody getting stabbed?
Yes, I did, but it was a bit different. This was someone that was lying down,
Okay, that makes sense.
like a dagger was being thrust upon them while they were.
I'm not
sleeping.
worried about lying Declan's face, because like my deception plus bluff automatically gets a +5 added to it at the
Oh
end.
yeah, there's no way.
Play it up.
There's no way that he'll ever see through that at all. But
Yeah. I'll never
he's
tell.
gonna question you. He's definitely.
Of course,
gonna question
I expect it, but like that's the thing. Like Declan's a good man. I don't want it. Caliph doesn't want. Again, Caliph's motto: in order for good men to flourish, bad men must be ignored. So, in order for you to like in Caliph's mind, in order for like my family to rise, shit just has to happen,
Yeah.
whether we want it to or not. And I like Declan being, in his eyes, in Caliph's eyes, like a really good man. He'd want to keep that. Like I don't want to drag you into the drudges of slimy garbage that has to get done.
The secondary threat is immediately finding out that you're not the perpetrator, and then thinking that there is someone inside of the castle. So Declan is like uber aware. I mean, he's already going to be kind of on that state of mind after he comes back and he's like, "What's up, Tommen? What's this?" and just drops the headstone, and then find out that Hoster's dead, and he's like, "No, it wasn't me. I promise. I'm not."
I'll
that
be
guy."
honest, when you drop that, I cannot wait for that.
Yep. It's going to be a very different reaction, though, to Lavina because of the nature of the relationship between Declan and Tommen.
Right? Like, what bullshit is that? I would sneak behind closed doors. He just dug up a grave and brought the headstone back.
The problem is that I was in her last years before she died. I was the closest to her. We had a very strong relationship, and before she
maybe
died.
not closer than Tommen himself, but certainly like you were the closest person outside the immediate family by a long shot. Like you had a calming presence on her. I think is the best way to put it. It's like not even her family had that calming presence on her.
I'm just
So-
saying.
Jason is well, that's concerning.
Well, now we play the game of Regent,
Yeah.
which is a whole nother fun ball game to play.
Mm-hmm.
He is much too young to be heir. Now,
Yeah.
granted, it's not a big deal as long as Tommen's alive. But once Tommen dies,
Oh god.
and depending on how old Jason is, he'll need a regent.
Yep.
If we
Yeah.
play the regent game, well, we got to figure out. We got to figure out how it's decided, which could be just the elders of the house, or even House Malister walking in and saying, "Here's the regent,"
Yep.
Or they could be honeyed words. But beyond that, it gives us an opportunity to raise Jason and basically groom him to lead, to give him the right lessons from a childhood on, and hopefully make him a good leader.
Anyone take any education specialties?
Actually-
We can all
Uh,
impart information on him.
Knowledge, I think.
Yeah.
Lavina can help with being worldly. Kayla can help with.
I can
with-
study. I have an edict memory, so I can help him study.
Hey, I'm worldly.
That's what I said. You can help him be worldly, right? Like
I-
you. Technically,
There's
I
no
can, but
quotations, EE.
Yeah,
General
Lavina
worldly,
is
but-
worldly.
Not lewd worldliness.
Wait
Yeah, no,
until
and
he's
now,
like
now that I've
16
invested
decent.
points into warfare, I mean, I can
Yeah.
definitely assist with that.
And
I am-
Reiner's in no place to try and move in on us anyway. They're still low on heirs. They can't be risking their men in fights and whatnot right now, which is another reason that I was okay going down this route and letting our youngest, the 5-year-old, be in charge. Because what are the Reimers going to do?
Well, militarily, they're still quite strong, but they are.
But it's
heirs,
risky,
but-
is what I'm saying. They're
Yeah.
running the risk of losing another heir and maybe even losing their kingdom all told.
Hmm.
So,
I am going to teach Ithilene to fight with a blade, be damned her father.
I-
He got salty as fuck. And
well,
I-
maybe this will convince him.
I think he was
Yeah.
mostly salty about the discovering of Jenny.
Yeah.
well, you should have
Honestly.
people sneaking about. And if you're going to hide them, you might as well not put it in a door in the middle of a hallway.
What better place
And
to keep it though?
and give everybody a key. How
Not
many
me.
people?
I don't got a key.
4 people that had key. He had a key.
I mean,
Yes, Jessica had a key.
we want to visit our mother.
Yennefer, Hoster.
Yennefer.
Hoster, Tommen, Ithleen, Liana.
What he's
Access
upset
to
about
Maester.
is
I bet the Maester knows too.
Maester had a key.
Maester
6,
definitely knows. That was the other person I could have gone to as a Maester because I gave him wine. That being said, I could have given him some more. What he's salty about is the fact that he didn't do a very good job hiding it.
Well, another silver lining here. If Hoster actually does die, Lord
Well,
Tommen
you better
doesn't.
believe that blade is poisoned too. By the way.
I
Oh, of
figured-
course it
figured
is.
as much.
He'll-
I
Lord
know
Tommen-
the poison you used. I'm like, yeah, he's fucked.
Lord Tommen doesn't have to know that his son was into men.
Nope.
So
No.
that's an embarrassment
go.
off his plate.
That's yeah,
Let it
that's
go.
yep.
I mean,
Wow.
clearly that's
Happened in
what
order.
we just did by putting
Wow.
steel into his gut.
Yeah.
So we've
And
let
a
that go.
and a little basilisk
Ooh.
blood.
Wait,
Of
isn't
course.
losing the stable master? Isn't that's not super cheap? I thought, right? Like acquiring a blacksmith, that like all of those roles have a financial.
You know, it's
The
interesting.
Stable Master isn't a role in terms of the house. Like,
Oh, really?
Actual
Okay.
setup. Because Castle Forge has like a noticeable impact on your stats, but the Stable Master, like, you probably would have a hard time finding a better one than John in your area. Certainly, because he has knowledge of the terrain and he knows the area. In addition to being a good leader of horse.
I mean, if he lives, he can keep the job. like if he makes it out, he can keep the job.
Is
I
this
can't
how you run
imagine-
all your resumes? You're like, if you survive, you got it.
Yeah, right. You keep leaving.
I-
But we, like if we need someone to replace him, I know a young man who's in need of a better paying position.
Any good for
Same.
horse?
I don't know. I have no idea what his skills about horses are.
Probably not as a peasant.
I mean, they all start as peasants eventually, right? Like he's got to scale up.
We have to find someone to teach him.
We
That's
got-
right. You step in, you wipe out all the veterans, and replace them with young bucks who you can raise as your own.
Hell yeah,
Yes,
down with
that
City Hall.
Definitely worked for Stalin with his leadership purges. Every general he got like promoted, crack generals, all of them. Thank you for watching the after show. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Masters kills everyone important that you care about.
I killed one person. One.
Yeah,
Well, they
there's
still
only
got
one person.
they still got a million bits to go, so I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, no. Like, it's $1,000 per character plot, and there's a good chance I'd fail too. So
With that deception, I think it's just Michaela standing on like a pile of bones and Declan being like, "How did they die?"
I'd be like,
Yeah, the trips.
that's when I looked at Declan, and be like, "You're the king now, Declan.
Yeah, right?
You're all that's left.
He doesn't
The only-
want that.
The only good man in the rivers."
That's
No, a good
the
man
true
is the
plan.
worst. He'll die so quickly. People will take advantage of him.
True.
True enough.
Nobody trusts Lavina.
I trust Luvina. Absolutely. She's a
Says the
snitch.
man that just stabbed his own brother in the back.
What? That's the kind of person you want, trust.
I know, right? Nobody else trusts Lavina. It's very clear Declan does not. At all. At all.
He's just got his suspicions.
They're
That's all.
literally, you are literally from polar opposite parts of the
Yeah.
country.
I know, but our worlds are actually very similar.
That's
Like
the
they're
great
open and
lesson.
understanding and like
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
you're both protectors, but you do it in very different ways. And
Different
unfortunately,
ways,
Tom
yeah.
on that spectrum is much closer
we're
to Declan.
also extreme lovers. We clearly learned about Declan in the last game.
No, Declan says he's an extreme lover. It's different. We only know what he says about himself.
No, that's not true. Anna said some things
Okay,
too.
we know
That's
what
right.
he said about himself, and people he has paid for sex and is currently paying for sex say about him.
Well, I mean, that's even if they say bad things, right? Like Declan's not
They're
going to throw bad
talking
dick
about
at him. It's just not going to happen.
Okay, thank you for watching the after show.
It's still going. You already said goodbye.
I lied!
Damn it.
Bye.
Uh,
Goodbye, guys.
Bye.